In 1992, Super Double Dragon came to the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, putting Billy and Jimmy Lee in the 16-bit spotlight. The character sprites were of a higher detail than any Double Dragon game before it, but that street-brawling gameplay was true to the originals. The characters moved smoothly and quickly, and punches, kicks, grabs, and throws could be chained seamlessly together. The feeling that you were Billy Lee, a martial arts expert, really got a chance to shine through. Even minor additions like the ability to back kick an enemy who's standing behind you helped you defend yourself against the onslaught of enemies. You felt more prepared than ever before, and of course those signature weapons that make you feel like you're making the bad guys regret waking up today were a welcome return. Referred to as Super Double Dragon 4 by many, this game starred Billy and Jimmy Lee as owners of their own dojo, teaching a new crop of students. The manual suggests that the final boss, Duke, owns several other martial arts dojos, but he's taken them over by force. But before I get that far into the story, I should note that 1994 saw the first Sega Genesis release of a Double Dragon game. At least the first legally licensed release of Double Dragon on a Genesis. Double Dragon 5, The Shadow Falls, is a tournament-style fighting game. Yeah, I remember a friend of mine renting this game and quickly realizing this wasn't like any other Double Dragon game in the series, except maybe the NES's Mode B. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go back and watch episode number 9. The manual for Double Dragon 5 is drawn as a cartoon, but it's very self-aware that it is an instruction manual for a video game and contains no hint of a story. The game itself lets you play as one of the villains or the heroes. Playing as a hero simply has you fighting your way to the Shadow Boss to prevent him from poisoning the city's water supply. Oddly topical in February of 2016. There's also some mention of evil clones to explain why you would fight your own brother. Playing as one of the villains, you're fighting in a tournament to prove yourself worthy of serving as the right-hand henchman to the Shadow Boss. And that's about it. It's also worth noting here that Double Dragon 5 was released on the Super Nintendo, but I'm focusing primarily on the Genesis version because A, that's what I have, and B, there's no other Genesis version to compare. Again, at least not legally. The music isn't anything special, the levels are varied but nothing astonishing. The characters are representative of the cast of characters of the Double Dragon cartoon show that was on around that time. Thankfully, I don't need to get into it as much as I did the Battletoads cartoon a few episodes ago. Controls aren't too difficult to master, and the difficulty doesn't make the game too brutal, but it's just a subpar fighter. This game was released on the Sega Genesis in between home ports of Mortal Kombat 1 and 2. Graphically, the game leaves a lot to be desired. So back to the other real 16-bit Double Dragon game. Since the game just drops us off in the street and lets us defend ourselves, we can always turn to the manual to give us a better reason to fight. The two greatest martial arts heroes of all time are back in an all-new adventure with awesome new moves, impossible new missions, and a hair-raising new cast of enemies. Marion, a beautiful policewoman, is a student of Kung Fu and part-time assistant instructor at the martial arts training school run by Billy and Jimmy Lee. A narcotics investigator, she has disappeared while attempting to infiltrate the ruthless criminal mob known as the Black Shadow Warriors. It will take all of your incomparable fighting skills and knowledge to find and rescue Marion. Alone or with the help of your brother, you must face the fearsome onslaught of the Shadow Warriors with the fabled power and ferocity of the Double Dragon. So, wait a second, isn't Marianne Billy's girlfriend from the first Double Dragon? And this Duke character we read about earlier, isn't he just another thug in the chain, or is he the leader of the Black Shadow Warriors? Taking over a rival martial arts gym is one thing, Duke, but kidnapping a narcotics officer? I'm pretty sure we're getting into some criminal activities that only the Double Dragons know how to handle properly. Step aside, law enforcement. These vigilante martial artists have work to do, and this adventure is going to take them deep into the heart of a clearly advanced and well-funded organization. But that's nothing they aren't ready for. Just wait until you hear what happens in their next adventure. You see, this is where I would insert a "you won't believe what happens next" clickbait headline, except I'm fairly certain you all know what this week has been leading up to. But just to be sure, you better check out episode 12, because I wouldn't want to spoil our story so far. That was episode 4 in our 5-part series. Come back tomorrow for the final episode. That'll be episode number 12. If you don't know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about a 5-day series, feel free to just visit ourstorysofar.tv, where you can always find all the episodes archived in order. I would really appreciate it if you'd take the time to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm still in the very early days of this channel, and I cannot wait to see where it goes from here. As always, you can interact directly with me on Twitter @NewAngel, that's Nuangel, and thank you for watching Our Story So Far.